The giant crystal hall floated in empty space above the planet Zephyria Prime. Inside, hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that went up and up like a huge bowl. Lights of every color moved through the air, showing pictures and words that danced in front of the watchers. This was the Galactic Council, where the smart races of the galaxy met to talk about important things. Jake Morrison sat very still in his small chair. The human chair was much smaller than the others because humans were much smaller than most aliens. Next to him, Amy Bell looked around at all the strange faces with wide eyes. They were the only humans in the whole place. Most of the aliens did not look at the humans at all. When they did look, their faces showed that they thought humans were not important. Jake and Amy were here to watch, not to talk. The big sign above their heads said, "New species under watch." It made Jake feel angry, but he kept his face calm. A tall being made of blue crystal walked to the center of the hall. This was Vextal, who spoke for the Zilithian people. His voice sounded like music when he talked, but his words were cold. "Today, we will talk about the young races," Vextal said. "Some of them might be ready to join us. Others are still too simple." Pictures appeared in the air. The first one showed a world covered in silver cities that reached into the clouds. The aliens all made happy sounds. "The Valdrians have built spaceships that can cross the galaxy in one day," Vextal said. "They are almost ready to become junior members of our council." More pictures came and went. Each one showed amazing things. Cities under the ocean, ships bigger than moons, beings who could live for thousands of years. Then Earth appeared in the air. The small blue and green ball hung there looking very plain next to all the other amazing worlds. White clouds moved slowly around it. One small moon sat nearby. Someone laughed, then more aliens laughed. Soon the whole hall was full of the sound of laughing. "Look at this little dirt ball," said a voice from somewhere in the crowd. Jake could not see who said it, but he felt his hands become fists. A creature that looked like a giant squid with too many arms waved at the picture of Earth. This was the Corvan speaker. His voice was wet and bubbly when he talked. "They call their world Earth," the Corvan said. "That just means dirt in their simple words. How fitting for such a basic place." More laughter filled the hall. Amy put her hand on Jake's arm to keep him calm. A floating jellyfish covered in bright spots spoke next. Its words came out as beeps and clicks that the translation machines changed into normal speech. "These humans have been trying to build space ships for less than 100 years, the jellyfish being said. "My people were traveling between stars when their planet was still covered in ice." "What is their longest lifespan?" asked another voice. "About 100 of their years," Vextal answered. "Some of us here are older than their entire space program." This brought more laughter. Jake felt his face getting hot, but he stayed quiet. A being that looked like a walking tree raised one branch arm. "Do they still use chemical rockets?" "Yes," Vextal said, sounding like he was talking about children playing with toys. "They burn fuel to push their ships through space. Very slow and very wasteful." "How quaint," the tree being said. "We moved past such methods 10,000 years ago." The Corvan speaker waved his arms again. "I heard they still fight wars with each other on the same planet. Can you believe such a thing?" This caused the biggest laugh yet. Many aliens shook their heads or made sounds that meant they thought humans were foolish. "They have over 200 different governments on one small world," another voice called out. "They cannot even agree among themselves." Jake wanted to stand up and shout at them. He wanted to tell them about all the good things humans had done. About art and music and the brave people who went to space even when it was dangerous. But Amy squeezed his arm harder, and he stayed in his seat. Vextal raised his crystal arms for quiet. "We must vote on what to do about Earth and its people." The vote was fast. Every alien in the hall raised something, an arm, a tentacle, a glowing spot, to show they agreed. Not one said no. "Earth will stay under restricted watch," Vextal announced. "These humans are not ready for our knowledge. They may never be ready. We will check on them again in 50 years. The picture of Earth disappeared. The next world appeared in the air, and the aliens started talking about other things. Jake and Amy were forgotten, just two small figures in chairs too big for them. When the meeting ended, Jake and Amy walked toward the exit with the crowd of aliens. As they passed by groups of the advanced beings, they heard whispers. "Such a shame," one said. "Another race that will probably die out before they get anywhere. The universe is full of failed species," another replied. "These humans are just one more." "At least they are far away on the edge of the galaxy," a third voice said. "When they destroy themselves, it will not bother anyone important." Jake and Amy finally reached their small ship docked at the station. Once inside, Jake hit the wall with his hand. "Did you hear them?" he asked Amy. "They think we are nothing, just some dumb animals who got lucky enough to build rockets." Amy sat down and looked out the window at the beautiful crystal city below them. "I heard them," she said quietly. "But maybe that is good." "Good? How is that good?" Amy turned to look at him. "Because they are not watching us very carefully. They think we are too simple to matter. That means they will not see us coming when we prove them wrong." Jake sat down next to her. Outside, the lights of Zephyria Prime sparkled like stars. Somewhere out there, Earth waited for them to come home. "Maybe you are right," Jake said. "Maybe being underestimated is not the worst thing that could happen to us." Amy smiled a little. "Besides, they are wrong about us. They think being different means being weak. But we have something they do not understand." "What is that?" "We know how to fight when everyone thinks we cannot win. We have been doing it, our whole history." As their ship prepared to leave the crystal station, neither Jake nor Amy knew that this moment would be remembered as the day humanity's greatest test began. The aliens who laughed at Earth had no idea that the small blue world they mocked would soon be the key to saving them all. 3 months passed after the meeting where the aliens laughed at Earth. Now a new human stood in the crystal hall of the Galactic Council. Lisa Carter was older than Jake and Amy, with gray hair and serious eyes. She was Earth's top diplomat, sent to try to make friends with the alien races. Behind Lisa stood Colonel Ben Hayes, a military man with a straight back and a face that showed nothing. He carried a metal case that held secrets. Important secrets that would change everything. The council hall was not full today. Only a few aliens sat in the great curved seats. This was not a big meeting like before. This was a private talk with the beings who made the real decisions. Zendara was one of these decision makers. She was very old, even for her people, the Minthari. Her skin looked like tree bark and her eyes held the wisdom of thousands of years. She was one of the few aliens who did not laugh at humans. "Ambassador Carter," Zendara said in her slow, deep voice. "You asked for this meeting. What brings you here with such worry on your face?" Lisa looked around at the small group of aliens. There were only 12 of them, but they spoke for billions of beings across the galaxy. What she was about to tell them would shock them all. "We have found something," Lisa said. "Something terrible is coming toward our galaxy." A Corvan delegate waved his tentacles like he was brushing away a fly. "More human fears," he said. "You worry about everything because you live such short lives." "This is not fear," Colonel Hayes said, speaking for the first time. His voice was hard and strong. "This is fact." He opened his metal case and pulled out a small device. When he pressed it, pictures appeared in the air above them. But these were not the pretty, colorful pictures from normal council meetings. These pictures were dark and scary. The first picture showed empty space, but it was not really empty. Strange shapes moved through the darkness between stars. The shapes were huge, bigger than planets, and they moved fast. "What are we looking at?" asked Vextal, the crystal being from the earlier meeting. His musical voice now sounded worried. "Death," Lisa said simply. "We call them the Devourers. They are machines, but not like any machines you know. They eat everything. Stars, planets, entire solar systems. They turn it all into more of themselves." The next picture showed what was left after the Devourers passed by. Where once a solar system had spinning planets and bright stars, now there was only twisted metal and darkness. Zendara leaned forward in her seat. Her old eyes grew wide with something Lisa had never seen there before. Fear. How long have you known about this? Zendara asked. 6 months, Colonel Hayes answered. Our deep space listening posts picked up their signals first. They are coming, from outside our galaxy, from the empty space between galaxies. Why did you see them first? The Corvan delegate asked. He did not sound mocking now. He sounded scared. Lisa pointed to another picture. This one showed the galaxy from far away, like looking down on a giant wheel of stars. Earth was a tiny dot at the very edge of one spiral arm. Because we live on the rim, Lisa said. Everyone laughs at us for living so far from the center, so far from all the important worlds. But that means we watch the empty spaces. We see things coming from outside before anyone else does. Colonel Hayes pressed his device again. New pictures showed numbers and charts that made the aliens lean forward to look closer. They are not just coming, he said. They are already here. The first scout ships entered our galaxy 2 months ago. The main force will arrive in less than 2 years. The room became very quiet. Even the small sounds of breathing and movement stopped. The aliens stared at the pictures like they could not believe what they saw. A floating jellyfish being spoke in its beeping voice. How many ships? We estimate several million in the first wave, Lisa said. But they do not just have ships. They can turn anything they find into more ships. Every asteroid, every dead moon, every piece of space junk becomes part of their fleet. Zendara closed her ancient eyes and was quiet for a long time. When she opened them again, she looked very tired. I have heard of these beings before, she said slowly. In the old stories of my people, long ago before we came to this galaxy, we lived in another place among different stars. The other aliens turned to look at her. Even beings thousands of years old had never heard Zendara talk about times before the Menthari came to the Milky Way. We called them the Endless Hunger, Zendara continued. They came to our old home and ate everything. Worlds, suns, entire clusters of stars. We ran away in great ships carrying what we could save. We thought we had escaped them forever. But they followed you, Lisa said. It was not a question. Not followed. They do not chase. They simply grow and spread like a disease. Eventually, they consume everything in their path. It seems they have found us again. The Corvan delegate's tentacles shook with fear. What weapons work against them? How do we fight them? Colonel Hayes shook his head. That is the problem. Your weapons are designed to fight other living beings or normal machines. These are different. They learn from every attack. They adapt to every defense. The old ways of fighting will not work. Then what do we do? Asked the floating jellyfish. Lisa looked at each of the aliens in turn. You start listening to the humans you have been laughing at. Because we are the only ones who have been preparing for something like this. Preparing how? Vextal asked. By assuming we would always be outgunned and outnumbered, Lisa said. Every human military plan is based on fighting enemies stronger than us. We have learned to win when winning should be impossible. Zendara nodded slowly. The very thing we mocked you for may be what saves us all. Maybe, Lisa said. But first, you have to stop treating us like children. We need access to your technology, your resources, your factories, and we need it now. The Council will never agree to that, the Corvan said. Humans are too primitive, too dangerous. Then the Council will die along with everyone else, Colonel Hayes said bluntly. Because in 18 months those things will be here. And if we are not ready, this galaxy will become just another meal for the endless hunger. The aliens sat, in silence, looking at the pictures of destruction that hung in the air above them. For the first time in their long lives, the advanced beings of the galaxy realized that their technology and wisdom might not be enough. They needed help from the small, short-lived humans they had dismissed as worthless. Outside the Crystal Hall, Earth continued its slow orbit around an ordinary yellow star, unaware that it had just become the most important world in the galaxy. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was nothing like the calm gathering from before. Aliens who usually sat with dignity now moved around in panic. Their voices mixed together in a loud noise of fear and confusion. The Great Crystal Hall buzzed with worried energy. Captain Danny Wright walked into this chaos with steady steps. Behind him came Dr. Rachel Stone, a human scientist with sharp eyes and quick hands. General Tom Parker followed them both, his military uniform neat and clean even in this time of crisis. These three humans looked calm while all around them, advanced alien beings, fell apart with fear. At the center of the hall, the Corvan delegate waved his tentacles wildly. "We must evacuate the outer worlds," he said in his wet, bubbly voice. "Save what we can and retreat to the core systems." "Evacuate to where?" demanded the floating jellyfish being. Its lights flashed angry red. "These devourers will consume the core worlds too, just more slowly." The crystal being Vextal played music that sounded like breaking glass. "Perhaps we can negotiate with them. Find out what they want." "They want everything," said Zendara, the old Menthari. Her voice was tired and sad. "I told you the stories. They do not talk, they do not make deals, they only consume." Captain Wright stepped forward. His voice cut through the noise like a sharp knife. "Stop." The word was not loud, but something in the way he said it made all the aliens turn to look at him. The great hall became quiet. "You are all talking about running away," Captain Wright said. "But there is nowhere to run. Dr. Stone, show them what we found." Dr. Stone pressed a button on her device. New pictures appeared in the air, showing star maps with moving dots of light. But these dots were not pretty. They were the enemy. The Devourers are not just coming from one direction, Dr. Stone explained. They are coming from all sides. Above the galaxy, below it, from every direction in empty space. This galaxy is surrounded. The aliens looked at the pictures with growing horror. The dots of light formed a circle around their home, closing in like the jaws of a giant trap. "That is impossible," said a tree-like being with branches for arms. "How could they coordinate such an attack across such distances?" "Because they are not separate fleets," General Parker said, speaking for the first time. "They are one mind controlling millions of bodies. Distance means nothing to them." The Corvan delegate's tentacles went pale. "Then we are all doomed. Nothing can stop such a force." "Wrong," Captain Wright said. "You are doomed if you keep thinking like you always have. But we humans have been preparing for this kind of fight our whole history." "Preparing how?" Vextal asked. His musical voice now sounded more curious than scared. Dr. Stone smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "By assuming we would always be the weak ones. Every human weapon, every battle plan, every defense strategy is designed for fighting enemies, stronger than us." She pressed her device again. New pictures showed human ships, but they did not look like the elegant alien vessels. Human ships were rough and blocky, covered in extra armor and strange attachments. "Your ships are beautiful," Dr. Stone said. "Perfectly designed for maximum efficiency. Our ships are ugly because they are designed to get shot at and keep working." "General," Parker pointed to one of the human ship pictures. "See those extra engines bolted to the sides? Those are backups for the backups. When the main engines fail, we have more. When those fail, we have more." "But that is so wasteful," the jellyfish being said. "Wasteful keeps you alive," Captain Wright replied. "You build one perfect thing. We build 5 rough things that all do the same job." Dr. Stone showed them pictures of human weapons. They were not as advanced as alien technology, but there were many different types. Our missile does not work? We have different missiles. Our energy weapon fails? We have projectile weapons. Those fail? We have explosives we can throw by hand. "Primitive," sniffed the tree being. "Effective," General Parker corrected. "The devourers adapt to whatever attacks them, but they need time to adapt. If we keep changing our weapons, keep hitting them with different things, we can stay ahead of their learning." The old Menthari Zendara leaned forward. "Tell us more about these strategies of yours." Captain Wright looked around at all the alien faces watching him. "You fight wars by sending your best ships with your best weapons to have clean battles with clear winners. We fight wars by cheating." "Cheating?" Vextal asked. Doing whatever works, even if it is not fair or honorable, Dr. Stone explained. Hiding weapons in places the enemy does not expect, attacking when they think they are safe, using their strengths against them. General Parker smiled, and it was not a nice smile. The Devourers are machines. They think logically. They expect their enemies to think logically too. But humans are not logical. We do things that make no sense and somehow they work. Give us an example, the Corvin delegate said. His tentacles had stopped shaking and were now moving with interest. Earth has been building defenses for 60 years, Captain Wright said, but not the kind you would expect. We did not build a big space fortress that the enemy could see and destroy. We built thousands of small surprises. Dr. Stone's device showed pictures of ordinary-looking asteroids, old satellites, and space junk floating near Earth. Every piece of junk around our planet can fight, she said. Old communication satellites have hidden missiles. Mining asteroids have bomb factories inside them. Even our garbage can explode when the enemy gets close. You weaponized your trash? The jellyfish being asked in amazement. We weaponized everything, General Parker said proudly. Our transport ships carry hidden guns. Our hospitals can become fortresses. Our schools can build ammunition. The Devourers will think they are attacking a normal world, but they will really be attacking one giant booby trap. Sendara's old eyes began to shine with something that might have been hope. You have turned your weaknesses into strengths. That is what humans do, Captain Wright said. You all laughed at us for being primitive and scattered and illogical, but primitive means we can use simple weapons the enemy does not expect. Scattered means we cannot be destroyed by one attack. Illogical means we can surprise enemies who think they understand us. The aliens looked at each other. For the first time since hearing about the Devourers, they were not just afraid. They were starting to think they might have a chance. What do you need from us? Vextal asked. Everything, Dr. Stone said. Your factories, your materials, your ships. But most important, you need to let us teach you how to fight dirty. Fighting dirty is not honorable, the tree being protested. Honor will not save your people, General Parker said bluntly. But fighting dirty might. The question is, do you want to die with honor or live without it? The great hall became quiet as the aliens thought about this choice. Outside, the stars continued to shine, not knowing that their light might soon be consumed by the approaching darkness. But inside the crystal hall, hope was starting to grow. The mocked humans had become the galaxy's unlikely saviors. Admiral Kate Morgan stood on the bridge of her ship, the UES Liberty, and watched the enemy approach. Through the big window in front of her, she could see thousands of dark shapes moving toward them through space. These were the Devourers, and they looked like nothing she had ever seen before. The enemy ships were not built like normal ships. They looked like they had grown instead of being made. Metal twisted and curved in strange ways. Parts stuck out at odd angles. Some ships looked like giant spiders. Others looked like metal tumors floating in space. How many do you count? Admiral Morgan asked. Commander Pete Adams looked at his screen. Over 3,000 enemy ships, Admiral. They are bigger than we thought they would be. All around the Liberty, other ships waited in formation. Some were human ships, rough and blocky like floating metal boxes. Others were alien ships, beautiful and smooth like works of art. They had never fought together before today. All ships, this is Admiral Morgan, she said into her radio. Remember what we planned. The aliens will attack first with their best weapons. When those stop working, we humans take over. On her left, a Zilithian crystal ship sparkled like a diamond. Its weapons could cut through a planet. On her right, an Altarian bioship pulsed with living light. Its guns could melt steel from 100 miles away. The first attack began. The alien ships fired all at once. Beams of pure energy shot across space like colorful lightning. The crystal ships made music as they fired, beautiful sounds that meant death to their enemies. The bioship sent living fire that ate through armor like acid. For a few moments it worked. Devourer ships exploded in bright flashes. Pieces of twisted metal spun away into the darkness. The alien crews cheered as their perfect weapons did what they were designed to do. Then everything changed. The remaining Devourer ships began to shift and change. Their metal skin grew thicker where the energy beams hit. New parts sprouted from their sides like metal plants growing. Within minutes, the same attacks that had destroyed dozens of them before had no effect at all. "Impossible," whispered the captain of the crystal ship. "My weapons are cutting energy itself. Nothing can become immune to that." "They are learning," Commander Adams said grimly, "just like the humans warned us." Admiral Morgan watched as more alien ships fired their weapons. Each attack worked for less time than the one before. The Devourers were adapting faster than anyone had thought possible. A bioship exploded as return fire hit it. Then another. The perfect alien weapons that should have won the battle easily were becoming useless. "All human ships," Admiral Morgan called into her radio. "Time to show them how we do things." Lieutenant Sarah Davis was flying a ship that used to carry rocks from asteroids to factories. Now it was packed with bombs that she had made herself from mining explosives. Her ship was not pretty or fast, but it could take a lot of damage. "Remember," she told her crew, "we are not trying to win a clean fight. We are trying to mess them up so bad they cannot figure out what we are doing." Sarah's ship dove toward the enemy, but not in a straight line like the alien ships had done. Instead, she flew in a crazy pattern, turning left and right and up and down for no reason that made sense. Behind her, other human ships did the same thing. Each one flew differently. Some spun as they flew. Others moved in zigzag lines. One ship flew backward while shooting forward. The Devourers tried to predict where the human ships would go next, but they could not. How could machines figure out patterns when there were no patterns? "Fire everything," Admiral Morgan ordered. The human ships opened fire, but not with the elegant weapons the aliens used. They shot old-fashioned missiles that exploded into smaller missiles. They fired bullets made of scrap metal. They launched bombs that were really just rocks with explosives taped to them. Some human ships rammed right into the enemy ships and exploded. The pilots knew they would die, but they also knew their sacrifice would confuse the Devourers even more. "This is madness," said the Corvin captain, watching from his own ship. "They are throwing away their lives for no gain." "Look closer," Commander Adams told him. "Each crazy attack is doing something." It was true. Every time a human ship did something that made no sense, the Devourers had to spend time trying to understand it. While they were trying to figure out why a mining ship would ram a warship, other human vessels were attacking from different directions. Lieutenant Sarah Davis flew her bomb-filled ship right into the middle of a group of enemy vessels. Instead of trying to escape after dropping her bombs, she set them all off at once, destroying her own ship and 6 Devourer ships around her. The enemy tried to learn from this attack, but what was there to learn? How could they adapt to weapons that were designed to be used only once by people who plan to die using them? "All ships, listen up," Admiral Morgan broadcast to both human and alien vessels. "The enemy is trying to understand us, so we are going to change everything right now." On her signal, every human ship changed its weapons. Ships that had been firing missiles switched to energy guns. Ships using energy weapons started launching torpedoes. Some ships stopped shooting entirely and started ramming the enemy instead. Every few minutes, Admiral Morgan gave the signal to change again. The human fleet kept switching between different ways of fighting, never giving the Devourers time to fully adapt to any one method. "Admiral," Commander Adams said, "the alien ships are starting to copy what we are doing." Morgan looked at her screens and smiled. The beautiful alien vessels were starting to fly in random patterns too. Their perfect weapons were being fired in wasteful, inefficient ways that somehow worked better than their careful, logical attacks. A crystal ship that had been trying to cut enemy vessels in half with precise beams was now spinning wildly and firing in all directions at once. A bioship had stopped using its living weapons correctly and was instead launching them like simple explosives. "Good," Admiral Morgan said. "They are learning to fight ugly." The battle was turning. For the first time in their long history of consuming galaxies, the Devourers were losing a fight. They could adapt to logical attacks, but they could not adapt to chaos itself. But even as the human-alien fleet won this battle, everyone knew it was just the beginning. This was only the advance force. The real enemy fleet was still coming, and it would be 1,000 times larger. "All ships," Admiral Morgan announced, "prepare to fall back to the next defense line. We hurt them here, but the big fight is still coming." As the mixed fleet began to retreat toward Earth, the Devourers studied the wreckage of the battle. For the first time, they had encountered enemies who fought without logic, who turned their own weaknesses into strength. The machines tried to calculate how to counter such tactics, but their computer minds could not understand the one thing that made humans dangerous. They were willing to do anything, no matter how crazy or costly, to protect what they loved. The real test was still ahead. Captain Alex Turner stood in the command center of New Geneva, a space station that floated high above Earth. Through the big windows, he could see his home planet spinning slowly below him. The blue and white ball looked so peaceful, but Alex knew that in a few hours, it might be destroyed forever. Dr. Emily Watson worked at a control panel nearby. Her hands moved quickly over buttons and switches as she prepared Earth's final defense. She had not slept in 3 days, but her eyes were bright with determination. "How many enemy ships?" Alex asked. "Over 50,000, Emily replied without looking up. "The biggest fleet anyone has ever seen. They will be here in 2 hours." Around the solar system, alien refugee ships waited and watched. Millions of Vuuzar beings from across the galaxy had come to Earth's neighborhood, hoping the humans could do another miracle. But many of them were already preparing to run if the battle went badly. On the Corvin command ship, the tentacled captain spoke to his crew. "The humans fought well at the outer battle, but this is different. No one can stop 50,000 Devourer ships." The Zilithian crystal beings sang sad songs, preparing for death. The floating jellyfish aliens dimmed their lights in sorrow. Even brave species that had fought wars for thousands of years believed this was the end, but the humans were not giving up. "Emily, is everything ready?" Alex asked. "Almost," she said. "Every piece of junk, every old satellite, every rock we hollowed out for mining, it is all connected now. The whole solar system is one big weapon." Alex smiled. "The Devourers think they are attacking a normal star system. They have no idea what we really built here." For 60 years, humans had been preparing for this day, not because they knew the Devourers were coming, but because they always assumed someone stronger would try to destroy their home. Every generation of humans had added more defenses, more tricks, more surprises. What looked like space junk floating around Earth was really a network of hidden weapons. Old satellites that should have fallen back to the planet years ago were still there, filled with missiles. Asteroids that had been mined for metals were now hollow shells packed with explosives. Even Earth's moon was not what it seemed. The mining operations on the backside had built factories that could launch attack ships. The space elevator that carried people and supplies up from Earth could also send up weapons and soldiers. "Here they come," Emily said. The Devourer fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like a dark cloud blotting out the stars. The enemy ships were even stranger than before. Some looked like giant metal squids. Others resembled floating cities made of twisted steel. All of them moved, with the cold purpose of machines built only to consume. "All hidden defenses, stay quiet," Alex ordered. "Let them think we only have what they can see." The human fleet that met the Devourers looked small and weak. A few dozen ships, most of them converted civilian vessels with weapons bolted on the outside. The aliens watching from their refugee ships shook their heads sadly. It looked like Earth was about to be destroyed by the largest force anyone had ever seen. The first Devourer ships moved toward Earth's moon, planning to use it as a base for the attack on the planet. They expected to find a dead rock with some mining equipment. Instead, the moon fought back. Hidden doors opened on the lunar surface and launched thousands of small attack ships. Weapons that had been disguised as mining equipment started firing. The whole backside of the moon lit up with explosions and energy beams. "What is happening?" the Corvin captain asked, staring at his screens. "The moon is fighting," his sensor officer replied in amazement. But that was just the beginning. As the Devourer fleet moved deeper into the solar system, everything they passed turned out to be a weapon. A chunk of space rock would suddenly sprout missile launchers. An old communication satellite would unfold into a gun platform. Even floating pieces of garbage would explode when enemy ships got too close. "How is this possible?" the lead Devourer ship broadcast. It was the first time anyone had heard the machine speak. Their voice was cold and electronic, like a computer, trying to understand something beyond its programming. "Because you do not understand humans," Alex replied over the radio. "You adapt to weapons and tactics, but we did not give you weapons and tactics to adapt to. We gave you love." Dr. Emily Watson pressed a button and suddenly every human in the solar system was connected on the same radio channel. Millions of voices spoke at once, but they all said the same thing. "This is our home." The Devourers tried to process this information. They were built to understand technology and strategy and logical thinking. But they could not understand why beings would fight harder for one unremarkable planet than other species fought for their most advanced worlds. Colonel Mike Phillips led the ground forces as some Devourer ships tried to land on Earth itself. But the planet's surface was ready for them too. Cities that looked normal from space transformed into fortress complexes. Office buildings opened up to reveal hidden gun positions. Parks and playgrounds had weapon systems buried under the grass. Every street, every building, every inch of this world has been prepared, Phillips told his soldiers. "We know every hiding place, every shortcut, every way to make the enemy's life difficult." The battle for Earth was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not ships fighting ships in space. It was an entire solar system fighting as one living thing, with humans as its heart and mind. The Devourers found that they could not adapt to this kind of defense. Every time they learned to counter one weapon, 10 different weapons would attack them from directions they did not expect. When they tried to land on Earth, the very ground seemed to fight against them. But the strangest thing was what happened when the Devourer Central Intelligence tried to contact the human command directly. "Why do you fight so hard for this system?" the machine mind asked Captain Turner. "Your planet has no special resources. Your technology is primitive. Your location is unimportant. Yet you defend it with more determination than species fight for their greatest treasures." Alex looked out at Earth, spinning peacefully below the battle. He thought about every human who had ever lived there, every family, every dream, every child who had looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. "Because it is not about the planet," he said. "It is about home, and you cannot calculate the value of home." The Devourer intelligence tried to process this concept. Home. A place valued not for its strategic importance or its resources, but simply because it was where a species belonged. The concept made no logical sense, but somehow it made these humans fight like nothing the machines had ever encountered. As the battle reached its peak, something unexpected happened. The Devourer ships began to malfunction. Their adaptive systems, designed to learn and counter any attack, were overwhelmed by trying to understand enemies who fought with their hearts instead of their minds. One by one, the great machine ships went silent and drifted in space like dead metal. The intelligence that had consumed entire galaxies could not comprehend the simple human truth that some things are worth more than logic can measure. When the last Devourer ship powered down, the solar system became quiet. Earth continued to spin, safe and blue and beautiful. The humans had won not through superior technology or clever tactics, but through something the machines could never understand. They had fought for home. The alien refugees who had come to watch Earth's final battle now looked at the small blue planet with new eyes. This unremarkable world on the galaxy's edge had just saved everyone, defended by people the aliens had once mocked as primitive. Captain Turner received a message from the Galactic Council. It was short and simple. "We were wrong about humans. We were wrong about Earth. Thank you for saving us all." Alex smiled and looked down at his home world, where children were probably playing in parks that had been weapon systems just hours before. The galaxy was safe, and Earth was still home.